Hi, I'm Dr. T and welcome to my office. So today I would like to talk a bit about wax. Now, normally when we think about wax, we're typically thinking of a petroleum product. Paraffin is a very long chain hydrocarbon and it's derived from, as I just mentioned, oil. Now, historically though, waxes have been quite often acquired from biological sources. Of course, everyone's familiar with beeswax. But many different animals and plants do produce their own waxes for various purposes. Obviously, bees are using that to make their home out of. Plants will put that on the outer parts of their leaves to provide a water resistant barrier so that they don't dry out too much. This creates part of the cuticle. And of course, animals will excrete waxes as well as many other substances into their fur and or hair, once again to provide waterproofing properties, as well as a general protection and cleaning functions. Well, when we're looking at biological waxes, these are going to be similar to the petrochemical version of the wax in that they are predominantly large hydrocarbons, except for with biological systems, typically speaking, pure alkanes are not something that's going to be particularly compatible. Biological systems really like to have at least a couple of oxygens, and this is going to allow for enzymes to function on them. This is why something like biodiesel, which contains an ester group in it right at the end, is far more biodegradable than petrochemical diesel, which does not contain the oxygens. No real ability for the enzymes to latch on. So shouldn't be surprised that when we look at biological waxes, they do have a couple of functional groups more than just straight alkane, specifically an ester. So biological waxes are going to be a fatty acid, typically a fairly long chain one, because the goal of a wax, and typically substances that we call wax, are going to be things that have lots and lots of carbons. So there's going to be a hydrophobic interaction, London dispersion forces, but because they are so humongous, they're going to be giving us something that is definitely a solid. It may be a soft, squishy solid, but it is definitely a solid. And biological waxes are no different. So you're going to have a long hydrocarbon, and then depending on the source, that's going to be esterified to an alcohol. Now that alcohol could be straight chain alcohol, those definitely do exist. Alternatively, it could be a sterol, which is a series of ring structures with an alcohol at one end. Either way though, we're going to have two very large hydrophobic molecules with a tiny polar head, which are going to be fused together into an ester, making a very large nonpolar molecule that can be used for a multitude of purposes depending on what kind of organism you happen to have or what we are repurposing that for, because the bee was not planning on its wax being used for your candle, but it doesn't mean it doesn't make a really good candle. So with that said, I'll see you in later videos and have a wonderful day.